New England Patriots rookie Marte Mapu is the standout performer of the offseason, and it's going to lead to a significant role on the field for him in 2023. Stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and welcome to the Locked On Patriots podcast. We are a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it's available. I am your host, Mike Debate, and I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Sports Illustrated. So reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on Twitter at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some love to the Twitterverse, please be sure to follow the Locked On Patriots account as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, thank you once again for joining me here today and spending part of your weekend getting locked into Locked On Patriots. And of course, for making us your first listen each and every day. As always, a special shout out to all of you Locked On Everydayers out there. I am so honored and grateful for all of the support from all of you Locked On loyalists. My unending gratitude to you as always. And Patriots fans, with training camp coming closer on the horizon with each passing day, we're going to continue our look into the Patriots positional depth charts. And today, we're going to be focusing on off-the-ball linebackers, not to be confused with outside linebackers whose primary duties are to rush the passer. They don't align themselves on the ball or at the line of scrimmage. Essentially, these are coverage players. Rather than being a dedicated run stopper or a pass rusher, they pretty much do a little bit of everything. And the Patriots have several players on their roster that fit this description. Ja'Whaun Bentley, Jahlani Tavai, Mack Wilson, just to name a few. We're going to be talking about all those players today. And fortunately for us, the resident voice of reason, Steve Balestrieri of PatsFans.com, is here today to help break down the Pats off-the-ball defenders. And Steve knows a thing or two about defense, so stay locked in, folks, because this is going to be a fun discussion. But before we bring in my Patriots paisan today, we find ourselves talking about a position group where the biggest impact could actually come from a rookie. And, of course, all of you everydayers know that yesterday here on the pod, Thomas Murphy and I discussed the cornerbacks and rookie phenom Christian Gonzalez. Well, the Pats have a pretty good rookie hybrid that could be effective in an off-ball role, in this very role that we're talking about today, and that is hard-hitting defender Marte Mapu. Of course, we all remember Marte was selected in the third round and number 76 overall in the 2023 NFL Draft. A lot of us were surprised by this pick, but when you took a look at the skill set, it made perfect sense. Marte Mapu is the ideal Patriot. Redshirted his true freshman season for the Sacramento State Hornets. His redshirt junior season in 2020 was canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but as a redshirt senior, he was named second team All-Big Sky Conference, and Mapu used that COVID extra year of eligibility, and he returned for a sixth season. During that time, he was named Big Sky Conference's Defensive Player of the Year in 2022. And if you take a look at the time he spent on the field at Sacramento State, really provides a solid blueprint for his potential usage here in New England. Aligned as a linebacker, a cornerback, took some reps at the nickel corner all throughout his tenure as a Sacramento State Hornet. And Marte was very well praised for his work. He was very highly decorated for his work as well. He received a 77.2 grade in pass coverage and an 85.9 grade in run defense last season from Pro Football Focus. So you want to talk about guys that are ready to come in and make an impact. Marte Mapu clearly is. 510 snaps in the slot, 249 in the box, 56 snaps back deep, and 49 along the defensive line. That's pretty much aligning everywhere you possibly can in a given defense. And again, that is what drew the Patriots to him. It's that versatility, that upside that he shows in everything that he does That's going to keep him in the mix for a prominent role in the upcoming season. And as I said to open the show today, I believe that's going to happen. But don't just take my word for it. If you take a look at how Marte Mapu has been used in the offseason so far, the Patriots are starting to tip their hand a little bit about just how much confidence they really might have in this kid. During the workout sessions that we in the media have had the opportunity to take a look at so far, Mapu has demonstrated that versatility by lining up in so many spots on the defensive side of the ball. We're talking a lot about Marte today because he is officially listed as a linebacker in the Patriots ledger. And because of that, we've seen him align in an off-the-ball role next to Ja'Whaun Bentley. He's also played the deep safety spot a few times, so keep a sharp eye at how the Patriots are going to be using Marte Mapu during the upcoming training camp. Now, Marte's performance has caught the eye of several members of the media and the fans as well, and some are even calling him the standout performer of the offseason. I happen to agree with this. You look at his usage on the field, his ability to just assimilate into anything the Patriots want him to do, and the knowledge to understand the playbook this early is something that is really impressive. Talked about this a little bit earlier this week when we previewed the safeties. Marte Mapu will align at safety at times, folks. So definitely be aware of the fact that this guy is going to have multiple roles, and I think he's going to do each of them very well. But if you're asking me where I believe he'll spend the majority of his time, it's going to be in an off-the-ball linebacker role. And Marte has really overcome a lot of obstacles to get to where he is. As a matter of fact, Mike Reese of ESPN, in one of his most recent columns, had so many great things to say about Marte Mapu. Quoting him directly here, folks, it wasn't even certain that the third-round pick from Sacramento State would be on the field as he recovers from a torn right pectoral muscle sustained in February. That's important to remember, folks. Torn pec. We talked to Dr. Kyle Trimble about Marte Mapu's injury earlier this year. His assessment was that it had pretty much healed and that Marte should be good to go. It's good to hear that the information that Mike Reese is getting is kind of matching up with that. So in terms of his health, Marte Mapu looks like he's ready to go. Going back to quote Mike here, but Mapu practiced in a red non-contact jersey and played everywhere from linebacker to safety. And on one day, he intercepted backup quarterback Bailey Zappi and broke up multiple other passes. His versatility and instincts have been recognized by teammates. And I agree with this, folks. And Mike highlights this, and I completely agree with it. Catching the sharp eye of the fan base, that's one thing. Catching the sharp eye of the media, well, that's another. But when you earn the praise of your teammates, especially for a rookie, that's a very big deal. And that says a lot about how much respect Marte Mapu is automatically commanding in that locker room. Marte did get some proverbial love from one of the Patriots' most prolific defenders, their pseudo GM, so to speak, Pat's linebacker Matthew Judon. And he had a lot of great things to say, but the quote that I think sums it up best is saying, quote, he runs like a free safety, but he stands like a linebacker or an edge player. He can play on all three levels. That is a lot of compliment and a lot of praise coming from a guy like Matthew Judon, who is a very versatile player in his own right. But his ability to recognize Mapu's greatness and what he brings to the table really tells me that this is going to be a special season. And let's not forget that it was Matthew Judon who compared a lot of the Patriots defenders to unicorns, saying these guys can play all over the formation. They can do so many things. Opposing offenses are not going to know how to defend because they're not going to know who's aligning where. I believe that's going to be a very key component in the Patriots defense being among the elite units in the league this year. And one of the big reasons why is because of the play of Marte Mapu. Judging by Judon's comments, he sees that in Marte. I think all of us are starting to see it, and that's what I'm going to be watching most closely as camp gets underway in just a little over a week. Pats fans, it's time to add some reason to our analysis here on the pod. Who better to give us the wisdom and the counsel that we need than my Patriots paisan, Steve Balestrieri, who is about to join the weekend party, delving deeper into the off-ball linebackers depth chart right here on Locked On Patriots, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, our partners over at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Football host Vinny Iyer to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So with draft prep underway for the upcoming season, Let's see who Vinny has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Which running back has scored the most touchdowns combined the past 2 seasons? Well, that would be electric Los Angeles Chargers running back Austin Eckler, whose 38 scores since 2021 and featured receiving role make him a guaranteed fit for the first overall pick in 2023 fantasy football drafts. Eckler will see his usual high leverage work as a runner and remain the focal point of the short passing game. Vinny Iyer from Locked On Fantasy Football is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. It's the same thing with your vehicle. With eBay Guaranteed Fit and over 122 million parts and accessories for your vehicle right at your fingertips, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brakes, tail lights, shocks, struts, you name it, eBay Motors has it. And they'll make sure it's the right fit for your car, because eBay Guaranteed Fit helps you understand exactly what part you need for your vehicle the first time. So go forth, switch gears, crank the AC, and say goodbye to sweating if your ride needs a little fixing up. Because with eBay Guaranteed Fit, everything your vehicle is calling for is just a click away. For the parts and accessories that fit your vehicle, just look for the green check. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices at ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Patriots fans, thank you once again for taking time out of your day, out of your weekend to spend here on Locked On Patriots. We continue our positional previews, getting you ready for training camp on Wednesday, July 26th, first practice on the fields adjacent to Gillette Stadium. We've talked cornerbacks, we've talked safeties, and I opened the show today by talking a little exciting rookie in Marte Mapu. But here today to talk all things off-the-ball linebackers is a man who knows a thing or two about protection. He is the resident voice of reason here on Locked On Patriots, columnist extraordinaire at PatsFans.com, as well as the host of not just one, but 2 amazing podcasts, Patriots 4th and 2, and he's always host emeritus of One Patriots Place with our good friends Murph and Claire. Steve Balestrieri joins me here today. Welcome back to Locked On Patriots, my paisan.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be back talking with you. I always value your wisdom and counsel, as you always say.
Absolutely. Wisdom and counsel is important. And sacramental wine is also important as well. 2 points for anyone that got that reference, folks. I'm just waiting. Drop a comment in the YouTube section and see if you know exactly where I got wisdom, counsel, and sacramental wine from. I think a few of you out there might be able to crack that code. But I thought we'd talk a little off the ball today, heading into the weekend. And I opened the show today by talking about Marte Mapu, his exciting addition to the New England Patriots linebackers core, safeties. The guy can do it all. What are your thoughts on Mapu right now? Do you expect him to live up to the hype he's getting right now?
I do. I do. I think he's going to be a big part of the defense. And I have to throw a caveat in there. When they drafted him, at first, it was a little bit of a head scratch. I'm scratching my head right now. It was a little bit of a head scratcher for me because I was thinking he was going to be another, in the box safety type, and which he could play that role.
Yes.
But, the Patriots are using him, it seems like he's going to be an off the ball linebacker a lot of his time. And everything we've heard about this guy, back from the Senior Bowl, he's fast, he's athletic, he's very physical. He's not the biggest guy, but he hits a ton. I think he is going to be a really big part of this defense this year, and it just makes him a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic. And as we've all been saying for years, that's what they needed more of. And I think, the last few years, they're trending that way.
Yeah, they are trending that way. It's really, I think, more of a wave of the future in terms of the types of NFL defenses you're seeing now and the speed and the versatility that you see in a lot of these players coming down the pike. And Matthew Judon, of course, we know touched upon this a few weeks ago when he called the Patriots defenders unicorns because they can play so many different positions. You've got guys like Jonathan Jones that can play cornerback and safety and come up and do the job. You've got Adrian Phillips that can play hybrid linebacker, star type safety, even drop in at corner. Now you've got Mapu, who's capable of lining up as a linebacker even standing up along the defensive line, and of course playing the box in the way that he hits and the way that he's able to move throughout the field with his speed. So I, for one, agree with you. I kind of tipped my hand opening the show today by talking about how I believe that Mapu has earned that distinction as being the standout performer so far in the Patriots offseason program, whether it be OTAs or minicamp. My colleagues and I in the media have been very impressed by what we've seen, and it comes with a double-edged sword, folks. As I said earlier, this can be an issue for some players to be hyped up a little bit too much too quickly. I don't think Marte Mapu is buying into that. This kid is focused. He's singularly, he's very much dedicated to his craft. And I think in a lot of ways, that's going to really lead to big things for him on the field. So I look for him to be a contributor right off the bat. Steve, Ja'Whaun Bentley coming back to this team and signing an extension to remain in New England was something that I think has been universally praised throughout Patriots media, throughout Patriots fandom. You're not seeing too many people that are saying, oh, they had no business signing him. Why did they sign Bentley? Everybody seems to be on the same page that bringing him back was a great idea. When you think Patriots off the ball linebackers or middle linebackers, traffic directors, whatever you want to label him as, I think Bentley seems to still be the alpha in this room. What about his game? What about what he brings to the table makes him so indelible to the Patriots that they felt they needed to extend him and make sure that he's in this locker room through 2025?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. And I think, you make some good points right off the bat because he does so much and he's a leader on and off the field. He's very well respected, in the locker room, with his fellow players. He brings it on the field. I think he really started coming into his own last year. We've seen, bits and pieces of it in the past, but I thought last year he had his best season by far in a Patriots uniform. I think he's improved his athleticism a bit, and he's still a thumper, a downhill kind of guy in the running game. And he's the prototypical linebacker that Bill Belichick has always loved in the middle of his defense. He's a big guy. He plays downhill. He plays with an edge to him, I guess you could say. But, when you put all that together, I think you need that. You need that big guy in the middle. And I kind of equate him. I think you and I talked about it not too long ago. He's kind of in that Donta Hightower, Willie McGinnis role, for the defense, where he's going to be the guy in the front seven that makes sure everyone's lined up right. He's going to lead by example. He might not be a rah-rah type guy, but people are going to listen to him when he speaks. And, you can't say enough about his game. And I really like that about him. And, when he first came out, we were questioning his ability to cover. I think he did a really good job of that last year.
I completely agree. He has become a very good coverage linebacker, not just the prowess that he brings in standing up against the run, which is really what I think he was noted for coming out of college. That really was his claim to fame. And in that regard, he's diversified his game so much that I think it's made him a necessary component in the middle part of that defense. I can't imagine the Patriots defense being as effective as it is up front or even in the defensive backfield, certainly not in the middle, without Ja'Whaun Bentley in the mix. And I think that's why the Patriots felt they needed to keep him in-house. But something else that I think really is a feather in his cap and something that speaks very well of him is his ability not just to pick up the Patriots playbook and learn it, also to communicate it to his teammates and be able to relay information. I'll be the first to admit, when the Patriots drafted him in 2018, I liked the pick. I wasn't in love with it. I really didn't know what to make of it at the time. I thought he'd be a pretty decent player, but to me, it was kind of like, okay, this one's either going to hit or miss. I really didn't have a strong feeling about him either way. But when you start to see a rookie and a first-year or second-year player wear the green dot on the back of their helmet, you know they're not only picking up a playbook, but they're also showing a wisdom beyond their years. And that's what I think has made Ja'Whaun Bentley so beloved in New England, definitely amongst his teammates, his coaches, but even among the fan base, he's inheriting those duties that, like you said, Steve, were given to Dante Hightower, Willie McGinnis, Devin McCourty, who recently retired. These are all guys who have come out and said Bentley is the glue that's going to hold that defense together. And that, I think, solidifies him as a team leader. So not just about what he brings to the table on the field statistically, which he had a good season last year, 62 solo tackles, 6 quarterback hits, 3 sacks, a fumble recovery. He's all over the field. He's stopping the run. He's getting after the passer, and he's directing traffic. To me, that really solidifies him as one of the best guys on this team. And I think that's why the Patriots wanted to bring him back.
Absolutely. And plus, I think a little bit, they have so many guys that are coming up for renewal next year. And the last thing you want is a bunch of players getting together in the locker room and saying, I don't know if they value us because, they're not renewing anyone. So they, renew Devontae Parker.
Mm-hmm.
He's a veteran. They're keeping him around. Now they've renewed Bentley. So these guys are going to show up and they're going to, everyone's going to get their turn in the box. We all need to calm down and focus what's at hand, and you're all going to get paid.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, without question about it. And Bentley is admirably being paid, but he's also earning every dollar that the Patriots are giving to him, and he has earned it by what he's done on the field so far. And I believe he'll continue to earn it each and every day out there on the field. Steve, if we were to draw up a list of unheralded Patriots, underrated New England Patriots, this next gentleman I'm about to ask you about may either be on top of the list or at least near the top of the list. And I'm talking about Jahlani Tavai. Throughout his time in New England, he's consistently impressed the coaching staff, and he's won over a lot of fans here in New England. He's got a lot of dedication to his craft, great versatility. Bill Belichick has glowingly talked about Jahlani every time he's been given the opportunity to, says that he can play on the end of the line, play off the line, pass rush ability, all 4 phases of the kicking game. So obviously this guy is definitely someone that contributes on special teams, someone that has the ability to do anything that you want. Would you consider Jahlani Tavai the Robin maybe to Ja'Whaun Bentley's Batman when it comes to off-the-ball linebackers this year?
Yeah, absolutely. And he, again, I have to call myself out on this because I was openly questioning why they were keeping him in the lineup and not somebody else during preseason last year. And I ate all those words because once the game started for real, he really turned it on. And, all of that, optimism from the coaching staff, especially Bill, about his abilities, that all came true. I mean, he proved himself to be really good in coverage, a really good run stuffer, and he had the ability to go sideline to sideline, which I didn't think he did. And, he is versatile. He can play in the middle. He can play out on the line. So, he's one of those under the radar guys that nobody really ever talks about. But at the end of the game, you're like, when you watch back the tape, Tavai was really solid inside.
And again, it comes from that football intelligence that just allows him to learn multiple positions, be able to learn the nuances of playing those here in New England, and then putting it into practice on the field. I don't think Jahlani gets enough credit for doing that. This is not an easy system to come into and play one position and play it well, let alone be able to play multiple positions. I think that's why Bill Belichick holds a special place for Jahlani. You see a small smile crack across Bill Belichick's face when he talks about him. Not many players bring that, especially post-game folks. But Jahlani Tavai always seems to, lighten Bill Belichick's mood whenever he talks about him. And those are the reasons why, that versatility and that football intelligence, and something the Patriots desperately need in their off-the-ball linebackers. Steve, we've had some fun talking about these guys right off the bat. Marte Mapu, Ja'Whaun Bentley, Jahlani Tavai, exciting players, all key cogs in the Patriots defense, folks. But Raekwon McMillan is going to be on injured reserve for the rest of the year. Who will step up in his absence off the ball for the New England Patriots? And who might be a dark horse candidate among this group to earn a spot on the 53-man roster? We talk more about this subject with our resident voice of reason, Steve Balestrieri, when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues as a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, some say the key to a happy life is love, and others will tell you it's financial security. I'll leave it to you to determine your own pathway to happiness, but what is the key to my happiness, you might ask? Comfortable pants or shorts, after all. The summer is upon us. That's right. Today's show is brought to you by our good friends over at Bird Dogs, the most comfortable lower body wear that you will ever have. Folks, Bird Dogs make you look good. I own a pair of their joggers, and they are by far my favorite pants. They're the perfect blend of both fit and comfort, and just in time for summer, I'll be wearing my Bird Dog shorts, the best shorts I've ever owned to keep myself both comfortable and cool. They fit way better than those regular shorts that are made of that stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fixed that issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki, but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Bird Dogs also uses anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. So don't delay, do it today. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you. birddogs.com/LockedOnNFL. Patriots fans, thank you once again for spending part of your day and part of your weekend here on Locked On Patriots. Don't forget, today we are breaking down off-the-ball linebackers. My good friend, my Patriots paisan, Steve Balestrieri of PatsFans.com is talking all things off-the-ball linebackers with me. Steve, we've talked about some of the heavy hitters in this group. Obviously, Marte Mapu coming in. He's the new sensation. Ja'Whaun Bentley is good, all reliable. He is the alpha in the room. And Jahlani Tavai is kind of the underrated guy that just does everything you need him to do without much of the fanfare. But one guy I know we were both sad to see go down for the year is McMillan. Since the Patriots brought him in, it's really been one thing after another in terms of injury. And unfortunately, Raekwon is not able to stay on the field. When he is on the field, he's done a pretty good job. Had a pretty good year in his first year last year, first full year in New England, injury-free. But unfortunately, he will not be on the field at all this year. Before we get to who might replace Raekwon in the lineup and where this leaves the Patriots with reserves when it comes to off-ball linebackers, what are your thoughts on Raekwon? How big of a loss is this for the Patriots?
Yeah, I think it's a sneaky big loss for them because it hurts their depth, obviously. But, you know, he's another guy that I was so high on this addition when they brought him on board. You know, unfortunately, he's been snake bit by injury, you know, his whole time with the Patriots. I thought we finally started to see, you know, what he's capable of a little bit. Last year, he was coming off an injury. And then for him to get injured again, I think it's a sneaky, tough one for them because, you know, he hurts his loss hurts the depth as well as, you know, the off-ball linebacker position. I think, you know, he's a guy who's a veteran that you can count on to plug in certain situations. He can cover tight ends. He can get after the run. You know, he can do a little bit of everything. And that's the reason they brought him on board. So, you know, looking at his loss, I think it's a big one.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in terms of the off-ball linebacker position, which doesn't obviously get as much credit as the edge rush and the linebackers like a Matthew Judon or a Josh Uche. They're out there sacking the quarterback. They're getting after everyone. They're a little bit more high profile, but the off-the-ball players are the ones that I think do the work that allows a lot of these guys to spring free and make plays on the ball. And one of the biggest defensive struggles that the Patriots had in 2022 was a lack of speed in executing their coverage assignments. They improved a little bit last year, and I think one of the reasons why they improved in 2022 as opposed to 2021, which was a huge deficiency, was because of the presence of Ja'Whaun McMillan. He's very fast in that regard. He's got the agility and the quickness. So that's why I think the Patriots saw some improvement. And I think they were looking for McMillan to maybe take it a little further into 2023 this year, that combination of size and speed was really going to help infuse a little more athleticism into that area. And the Patriots desperately need that. Without Raekwon, yeah, they're going to be missing some stuff on the field. Last year, 250 defensive snaps for him, 277 on special teams. That's also something to watch for this year as well, folks. Raekwon was a stalwart in special teams coverage, so keep an eye on that. But he had 32 tackles, 1 sack, 2 quarterback pressures, and we all remember the Week 14 interception against Arizona, his first career touchdown. And he recovered the fumble by who else? DeAndre Hopkins. Imagine how things just continue to come full circle. Yeah, 23 yards for the score. That was a great moment for Raekwon. I hope it's not his last in a Patriots uniform, but it's kind of hard to ignore the evidence right now. That just he cannot stay on the field. I think the Patriots would really, really need to have a very good handle on what he's capable of when healthy if they're going to choose to bring him back. But that leads me quite nicely into my next question for you. But in that, Mack Wilson Sr. coming over from the Cleveland Browns in the trade last year with Chase Winovich. Mack was supposed to be that sideline presence, that athletic body that you need in the middle part of your defense. He showed flashes of it, but didn't get the chance to really, I think, showcase what he can do. I had him on the cutting room floor in my recent 53-man roster prediction, but in light of McMillan's injury, I'm rethinking that a little bit. My question to you, or my two-part question to you, is does Wilson make the roster this year? And if so, how effective can he be?
Well, I think he has a very good shot at making it because although I had said earlier, I think Mapu is going to play a big role this year. You know, at the same time, he is a rookie. And, you know, we know Bill likes to favor the veterans. So I could see Mack Wilson carving out a role for himself on this team. And I think with his second year in the system here, I think he could play a much better role than he did a year ago. I expected bigger things out of him myself. I was all in favor of this because I thought, you know, both players needed a change of scenery.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when they swung that deal for Winovich, I thought, you know, this could be a win-win for both teams. Both guys could come over, you know, carve out roles for themselves and, you know, do great and wonderful things. So it didn't work out that way for the Patriots and Mack, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he could do better this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, in a lot of ways, I think Mack Wilson's season last year in 2022 is a little bit of an anomaly. We talk about it and we act like he saw the field sporadically and then he was held out of games and things of that nature. He played in all 17 games for the Patriots last year. So he suited up, he was on the field and a part of the Patriots game plan, at least in some way, shape, or form, for every game that they went out there on the field. 36 total tackles, 2 of which went for loss, 1.5 sacks and a forced fumble. He didn't have that type of sideline to sideline standout performance that we all hoped for when he came over from Cleveland. But there were times where you saw the speed, you saw the athleticism in what he did, and he got 3 starts and he played mostly off the ball, which is where I think he's going to align this year. And that's why I think his role is going to be a little more vital now. If Raekwon McMillan were here, I think Mack Wilson might have difficulty cracking this roster, but without Raekwon in the lineup, they need a veteran presence, and they need someone who's not only a veteran presence, but also someone with enough youth, speed, and agility to be effective. And I think Mack Wilson checks all of those boxes. So, you know, one thing that some people will bring up, and I do hate to bring up negativity, folks, but his detractors will tell you he didn't play a single defensive snap over the final 5 games of the year exclusively on special teams. So keep that under your hat, especially with the Patriots bringing in guys like Chris Board to play on the special teams units this year. If Mack doesn't come out swinging, for lack of a better term, in training camp, that could be his only derail. But in terms of his fit on paper and what he could bring to the lineup, I think the Patriots are going to roll their dice, take their chances, and give him a roster spot this year. So, Steve, it's always fun talking about these matters with you. I do have one more question for you, though, my friend. And there's always a dark horse in every positional grouping. And off-the-ball linebackers are really not much different. There are a bunch of different guys that could potentially make these moves, do their job. Terez Hall is one name that comes to mind. Jordan Hellig is someone who's an undrafted rookie free agent coming in. When you look at the pool of reserve off-the-ball linebackers that could come in and make an impact, is there anyone on this list that we're overlooking that could make an impact in 2023?
Well, we know Chris Board is basically a lock because Bill Belichick calls him the best special teams player in the NFL. So we know he's not going anywhere. The other guy that I think could be a dark horse guy is Jordan Hellig because he's another guy that's a maven on special teams. And, if he shows any kind of promise, he might be a little raw to start, his first year, but if he can show anything at linebacker, I think he can carve out a role for himself because, as we all know, if you can play special teams, they tend to want to keep you around. And they might feel, hey, this is a guy we can develop and he can play linebacker as well as special teams.
Agreed. I think Jordan, if not the 53-man roster, I think you're definitely looking at him as a name the Patriots would love to retain via the practice squad. If they can bring him along and nurse him along, make him the type of player they need him to be, he could definitely be someone that could be a big part of this off-the-ball linebacker group in the future if it's not in 2023. And don't forget, folks, guys like Terez Hall, Calvin Munson is another one on this list. There's a lot of experience there playing in the Patriots system. So the Patriots love guys that are plug and play that can come in and play from previous experience. They've got in-game experience. They've got that veteran savvy, and they also know the system pretty well and know Bill Belichick pretty well, and Gerard Mayo and all the guys that are coaching defense in New England. So keep a sharp eye, but I agree with you. Hellig is the one I have my eye on as a potential dark horse as well. Steve, what can I say? It's an honor. It's a privilege to get your wisdom and counsel and to always absorb your reason because we always desperately need a voice of reason here in Patriots Nation. It's not always the most level-headed area to be a fan, but our fans, I've got to say it for the most part, are very level-headed, and people like you help to keep them that way. So I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for dropping by. Before I let you go, please let everyone know where they can find you and what we can expect from the great pen, the great voice in the coming week from Steve Balestrieri.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all the kind words and the invite. So it's great to talk with you. You can find me on Twitter at SteveB7SFG. I'm on Facebook and other social media at Steve Balestrieri. Excuse me. I write for PatsFans.com and, my Sunday football column. This is the tough time of year where there's not much to talk about, but I'll be looking at obviously some defensive notes this week. I'm going to go kind of defensive heavy, looking at what some of the question marks may be. They do have some issues, but I do believe this defense is going to be really good this year. I've said that a couple of times, and I'm sticking to that.
Absolutely. And I believe this defense is going to be very good as well. We've already broke down 3 components now, folks. And you know what? We're having such fun breaking them down. The next time we do a linebackers piece, we're going to bring Steve back because, again, he is the best in the business of breaking down anything and everything related to Patriots defense. But I kid you not, definitely check out all the analysis that he has, offense, defense, or special teams. You won't find anyone finer in the business, both from a professional level and a personal level, and I mean that. So, Bud, thank you so much. We look forward to having you back here next week on Locked On Patriots. And Pats fans, don't forget, Monday is Mailbag Monday. So make sure to get your questions in. Look for the hashtag Mailbag Monday. Make sure to tag your questions with Mailbag Monday so Murph and I know that we can feature your great work right here on Monday on Locked On Patriots. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you, especially all you Locked On everydayers out there. You're the ones that make Locked On Patriots possible. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do it. Honored, grateful for all of your support. On behalf of my good friend, the resident voice of reason here on Locked On Patriots, Steve Balestrieri, I am Mike Debate, reminding all of you to stay safe and stay well and to be the change that you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here on Monday on Locked On Patriots.